Betting woes. The 1980s marked the quiet genesis of a pervasive threat to professional tennis as hushed whispers of match fixing begin to circulate through the locker rooms and back channels of the sport. Players, especially those struggling on the lower circuits, become prime targets for unseen forces seeking to manipulate outcomes for illicit financial gain. These insidious influences exploit the financial vulnerabilities inherent in a system where prize money for many barely covers expenses, therefore creating a fertile ground for corruption. The integrity of individual matches, and by extension the entire tour, consequently hangs precariously in the balance during this nascent period of illicit betting activity. As the decade progresses, the subtle signs of manipulation become harder to ignore, compelling the sport's governing bodies to acknowledge the growing problem. While concrete evidence remains elusive in many early instances, the recurring patterns of unexpected results and sudden shifts in play raise alarms among diligent observers. Therefore, initial, albeit slow, efforts to tighten rules and increase oversight begin to emerge, representing the first defensive measures against a threat that will only continue to evolve. This era establishes a critical precedent, illustrating how external pressures can gradually compel a sport to fortify its foundational principles against corruption. 2007. Betting Crackdown. The year 2007 brings the shadowy world of tennis betting into harsh, undeniable light with the explosive Nikolai Davydenko case. Davydenko, ranked 4th in the world at the time, withdraws from a match against Martin Vassallo Arguello at the Sopot Open in Poland, citing a foot injury. Immediately following his retirement, unusually large sums of money, reportedly millions of dollars, are bet on Arguello to win, triggering alarms at online betting exchanges. This unprecedented surge of suspicious wagers, particularly after Davydenko's retirement, triggers an immediate and intense investigation by the ATP. The ATP's subsequent investigation into the Davydenko case becomes a pivotal moment, lasting over a year, and meticulously examining phone records and financial transactions. Despite the extensive inquiry and undeniable red flags, the ATP ultimately closes the case in 2008, without issuing any conviction against Davydenko or other involved parties due to insufficient conclusive evidence. This lack of a definitive resolution, however, does not diminish the alarm. Instead, it sparks widespread concern across the professional tennis landscape, compelling governing bodies to recognize the urgent need for more robust integrity measures. The Davydenko incident, therefore, serves as a catalyst for a more organized and independent approach to combating corruption within the sport. Integrity Unit formed. The fallout from the Davydenko case, coupled with mounting whispers of widespread betting irregularities, directly prompts a crucial, unprecedented response from the tennis world. In 2008, the sport's governing bodies collectively established the Tennis Integrity Unit, TIU, an independent body specifically tasked with safeguarding the integrity of professional tennis from corruption. This new entity receives a clear mandate: investigate match fixing, betting fraud, and other illicit activities threatening the sport's credibility. The formation of the TIU signals a serious, unified commitment to actively combating the dark underbelly of professional tennis. The early days for the TIU prove challenging, as it navigates a complex global landscape rife with entrenched networks and subtle forms of manipulation. Investigators face the arduous task of building cases with robust evidence, operating across multiple jurisdictions, and dealing with uncooperative individuals. Nevertheless, the unit begins to lay the groundwork for a more systematic approach to enforcement, developing intelligence networks and refining investigative techniques. This marks the true beginning of a new era for tennis integrity, moving beyond reactive responses to proactive measures against corruption. Marijuana maze. A new type of scandal emerges in 2009 with the positive drug test of French tennis player Richard Gasquet. Gasquet tests positive for benzoylecgonine, a metabolite of cocaine, at the Miami Masters, although he had withdrawn from the tournament before playing. He immediately denies intentional ingestion, asserting that the substance entered his system through accidental contamination from kissing a woman who had used cocaine in a nightclub. This unique defense, widely dubbed the cocaine kiss in media reports, introduces a perplexing scenario for anti-doping authorities. The International Tennis Federation, ITF, initially imposes a 2-year ban, but an independent anti-doping tribunal subsequently reduces it to 2 months and 15 days, accepting Gasquet's argument of no significant fault or negligence. The decision sparks considerable controversy, particularly as the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, later fully exonerates him, ruling he had no fault or negligence whatsoever. This ruling generates widespread debate within the sport regarding the strict liability principle in anti-doping and the thresholds for proving unintentional ingestion. Consequently, the Gasquet case forces a critical examination of drug testing policies, influencing how similar cases of alleged accidental exposure are are evaluated in the future. Nick Kyrgios fines. In 2019, Australian player Nick Kyrgios ignites a fresh storm of controversy during his second-round match at the Cincinnati Masters. After losing the second set to Russia's Karen Khachanov, Kyrgios unleashes a torrent of frustration directed at chair umpire Fergus Murphy. His behavior escalates to multiple code violations, including smashing 2 rackets in a hallway during a bathroom break and verbally abusing the official on court. These actions culminate in a significant disruption to the match and an immediate on-site investigation by ATP officials. The ATP responds swiftly to Kyrgios' conduct, issuing a record fine totaling $113,000 for his various offenses, which include unsportsmanlike conduct, verbal abuse, and an audible obscenity. This unprecedented financial penalty for on-court behavior sends a strong message regarding disciplinary expectations in professional tennis. Consequently, the incident sparks a widespread public debate concerning player conduct and the boundaries of acceptable emotional expression during high-stakes matches. The Kyrgios fine highlights the ongoing tension between player individuality and the sport's maintained decorum. Maria Sharapova-Meldronium. The 2016 Australian Open delivers a shockwave to the tennis world when 5-time Grand Slam champion Maria Sharapova announces a failed drug test. Her sample, collected in Melbourne, reveals the presence of meldonium, a substance she had been taking for 10 years due to health concerns. However, the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, had officially added meldonium to its prohibited list on January 1, 2016, just weeks before her test. This critical timing becomes the focal point of a major doping controversy. The International Tennis Federation, ITF, initially imposes a 2-year ban on Sharapova, asserting that she bears sole responsibility for her positive test. Sharapova immediately appeals this decision to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, arguing she was unaware of the substance's recent prohibition. The CAS subsequently reduces her ban to 15 months, concluding that while she bears some fault, she did not intend to cheat. Nevertheless, the incident significantly impacts Sharapova's career trajectory and casts a lasting shadow on her public image, consequently intensifying scrutiny on athlete responsibility and anti-doping regulations. Corruption reports exposed. A monumental moment of crisis hits professional tennis in January 2016, when a joint investigation by the BBC and BuzzFeed News releases explosive reports detailing alleged widespread match fixing at the highest echelons of the sport. These meticulously researched reports cite confidential files and extensive betting data, claiming that 16 players who reached the top 50 in the world, including Grand Slam winners, have been repeatedly flagged to the Tennis Integrity Unit over suspicious matches. The timing of this expose, on the eve of the Australian Open, amplifies its impact, shaking the sport to its core. The investigation alleges that betting syndicates in Russia, Italy, and Sicily have made hundreds of thousands of dollars betting on matches suspected to be fixed, with some instances even occurring at Wimbledon. Crucially, the report suggests that while these players were repeatedly flagged, they were allowed to continue competing without facing sanctions. This revelation triggers immediate outrage and prompts an urgent defensive response from tennis authorities worldwide. The exposed corruption reports fundamentally challenge the public's trust in the integrity of professional tennis, pushing the issue of match fixing to the forefront of global sports headlines. Argentine betting ring. A massive match-fixing scandal, largely orchestrated by an Armenian crime syndicate, breaks open in Spain in 2018, revealing the deep infiltration of professional tennis by organized crime. Spanish authorities, working with Europol, conduct widespread arrests, bringing to light a sophisticated operation that corrupted dozens of players. These investigations reveal that at least 97 matches across lower-tier futures and challenger tournaments were fixed, generating millions in illicit profits for the criminal network. The sheer scale of the operation underscores the persistent vulnerability of the sport's lower ranks to external manipulation. The comprehensive investigation leads to the arrest of 15 individuals, including the alleged ringleaders, with a further 68 people placed under investigation, among them 28 professional tennis players. One player implicated in the scandal reportedly competed at the 2018 US Open, signaling the reach of this network even into major tournaments. Following the police action, the Tennis Integrity Unit, now renamed the International Tennis Integrity Agency, ITIA, initiates its own disciplinary proceedings, resulting in significant lifetime bans for several players involved. This crackdown demonstrates a coordinated effort between law enforcement and tennis authorities to pursue and punish those who compromise the integrity of the game. Match-fixing bans continue. Even after the high-profile Spanish arrests, the period from 2019 to 2023 demonstrates that match fixing remains a persistent, widespread issue, primarily affecting lower-ranked players. The International Tennis Integrity Agency, ITIA, formerly the TIU, continues its relentless pursuit of corrupt activities, issuing dozens of suspensions and lifetime bans to athletes found guilty of manipulating matches. These players, often competing on the challenger and future circuits, face immense financial pressure, making them vulnerable targets for sophisticated betting syndicates. Therefore, the ITIA's ongoing investigations reveal a systematic problem rather than isolated incidents. The consistent stream of disciplinary actions underscores the agency's enhanced capabilities in detection and prosecution, yet it also highlights the deep-seated nature of the problem. Each new ban serves as a stark reminder that the battle for integrity in tennis is far from over, requiring constant vigilance and evolving strategies. The ITIA's detailed reports confirm that the fight against corruption remains a top priority, continuously adapting to new methods employed by those seeking to undermine the sport. The persistence of these violations compels a constant reevaluation of preventative measures across all levels of professional tennis. Zverev allegations. In late 2020, serious domestic abuse allegations surfaced against German tennis star Alexander Zverev, prompting significant scrutiny of the ATP's handling of player conduct off the court. Zverev's former girlfriend, Olga Sharapova, publicly details multiple instances of alleged physical and emotional abuse, including an incident at the 2019 Shanghai Masters. These accusations immediately spark widespread debate among fans, media, and fellow players about the ATP's responsibility to address such grave matters. The governing body faces increasing pressure to establish a clear policy for handling similar situations moving forward. The ATP launches its own independent investigation into the allegations in October 2021, an inquiry that extends for over 15 months and includes extensive interviews with both Zverev and Sharapova, along with other witnesses. Despite the lengthy and thorough process, the ATP concludes its investigation in January 2023, stating that it finds insufficient evidence to substantiate the published allegations and therefore takes no disciplinary action against Zverev. This outcome, however, raises important questions about the ATP's role and capacity to adjudicate complex personal conduct issues, prompting renewed calls for clearer, more robust domestic violence policies within professional tennis. Peng Shuai disappearance. In November 2021, the tennis world confronts a geopolitical scandal of unprecedented scale with the sudden disappearance of Chinese double star Peng Shuai. Peng, a former world number one in doubles, makes explosive allegations of sexual assault against the high-ranking Chinese Communist Party official on social media. Her post is swiftly deleted, and she subsequently vanishes from public view for several weeks, sparking profound international alarm and fear for her safety. This incident catapults a personal accusation into a global human rights issue, forcing sports organizations to take a stand. The Women's Tennis Association, WTA, under CEO Steve Simon, adopts an exceptionally strong and principled stance, demanding a transparent investigation into Peng's allegations and proof of her safety. When these demands are not met to their satisfaction, the WTA announces in December 2021 the immediate suspension of all WTA tournaments in China and Hong Kong, a decision estimated to cost the organization hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. This bold move highlights the significant geopolitical implications for professional tennis, positioning player welfare and human rights above vast financial considerations. The WTA's unwavering position contrasts sharply with many other global sports bodies, setting a new precedent for sports activism on the international stage. Coach betting scandal. The year 2022 brings a disconcerting new dimension to the sports integrity challenges as numerous tennis coaches become implicated in betting-related offenses. Investigations by the ITIA uncover instances where coaches who possess intimate knowledge of their players' form, injuries, and strategies engage in placing bets on matches involving their own athletes. This egregious breach of trust directly undermines the fundamental integrity of competition, creating a conflict of interest that jeopardizes fair play. The revelation highlights a previously underestimated vulnerability within the professional tennis ecosystem. One notable case involves former coach Max Wenders, who in 2022 receives a 12-year ban from the ITIA for admitting to multiple match-fixing charges and even destroying evidence. As these cases accumulate, the ITIA consequently expands its focus beyond just players, actively widening its anti-corruption program to scrutinize all covered persons within the sport, including coaches, officials, and support staff. This broadened scope reflects a critical adaptation by the Integrity Agency, acknowledging that corrupt activities can originate from various points within the tennis circuit. The continued exposure of such breaches underscores the ongoing, complex fight against all forms of illicit influence in tennis. Doping resurgence. In the years following the high-profile Maria Sharapova case, tennis continues its continuous battle against performance-enhancing drugs, with several other, albeit smaller, doping cases emerging across the professional tours. These incidents, while not always involving top-tier athletes, underscore the persistent threat that illicit substances pose to fair competition and player health. The ongoing discovery of banned substances reveals that some individuals remain willing to gamble their careers for perceived competitive advantages. Therefore, the anti-doping authorities maintain their vigilance to safeguard the sport's integrity. The fight against doping evolves as athletes and their support teams seek increasingly sophisticated methods to evade detection, necessitating constant innovation from testing agencies. New designer drugs and masking agents frequently challenge the established testing protocols, requiring continuous research and development in detection science. Consequently, anti-doping bodies like the International Tennis Federation, ITF, and the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, consistently adapt their testing strategies, implementing biological passports and out-of-competition testing. The commitment to a clean game remains paramount, driving relentless efforts to ensure that success on court stems solely from talent and hard work. Latest ITIA efforts. From 2023 into 2024, the International Tennis Integrity Agency, ITIA, actively intensifies its fight against corruption and doping, deploying new technologies and significantly increasing its financial investment. The agency, with a budget of approximately $15.2 million for 2024, prioritizes the development and integration of advanced data analytics tools to detect suspicious betting patterns and unusual player performance anomalies. This strategic focus enables the ATIA to identify potential breaches more efficiently and proactively, therefore strengthening its investigative capabilities across the globe. The commitment of substantial resources underscores the severity with which the tennis world addresses integrity threats. Moreover, the ETA's latest efforts involve a comprehensive and evolving strategy that extends beyond punitive measures to emphasize prevention and education. Throughout 2024 alone, the agency conducts over 2,700 in-person or online education sessions, reaching more than 15,000 individuals through online courses, including players, coaches, and officials. This proactive approach aims to equip the tennis community with the knowledge to recognize and resist corrupt approaches, cultivating a culture of integrity from junior circuits to the professional tour. Despite these significant advancements, the ongoing stream of sanctions confirms that the war on corruption in professional tennis is far from over, requiring constant adaptation and vigilance.
If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe for video. Thanks for watching.